today's video, we're going to learn how to color correct and color grade OM log footage in Premiere Pro. And by the end of today's video, you'll know exactly how to tweak those settings in Premiere Pro to make your OM log footage look cinematic and just super nice. So I recently took the OM3 camera on a trip to Vietnam, and that was my exclusive camera for that trip. And I shot a ton of photos and also a ton of video. Most of the footage that I shot was in OM log 400, and I did notice that color correcting and color grading that footage in Premiere Pro was not as straightforward as color correcting or grading Canon log footage or Sony S log footage, which I am used to doing. Depending on the OM camera that you have, you might be able to shoot in 10-bit. And this is going to be very key if you want to get the most out of your OM log footage. So for me on the OM3, I shot in H.265 and 420 10-bit, which is what the OM3 is capable of. Other OM cameras can only do 8-bit footage, so you might not be able to get as much flexibility when you're color correcting that footage. So if your camera allows it, make sure you shoot in 10-bit as much as you can. Another thing that OM suggests as well, and it's very key when you're shooting OM footage, is to expose one stop over to the right. So like a +1 on the meter in your camera. So we're here and I have a couple of clips shot on the OM3. And I first want to have my Lumetri scopes open right here. And I like to have my vector scope, my parade, RGB parade, and also my Luma waveform open here. So I'm able to see what's happening to the colors and to the brightness values on my footage as I am tweaking it. So first things first, when you go to the official OM website and you try to get a LUT for your camera, currently there is only a page for LUT files for DaVinci Resolve. However, some of these might work in Premiere Pro. At the end of the day, they are cube files, meaning they're LUT files, so they might work in Premiere Pro, but you might have to do a little bit of tweaking to them. So for myself, OM3 and H.265. Last year, Premiere Pro introduced a brand new way to manage color. So if you are very interested and want a deeper dive into how all of these new tools, these color tools work in Premiere Pro, I'll be linking those videos in the description below. Before we do anything, we'll go to settings and I'll display color and I'll make sure that these two are selected. And then under project, see what happens here. I have color manage, auto detect, log, and raw media selected, but nothing's happening to the OM footage. And that's because Premiere Pro does not currently detect log footage from an OM camera. So that's unfortunate. So we can keep that unchecked. So we're gonna have to do this manually and go under source clip and have add an input LUT here. And we'll use OM log 400. BT 2020 to Y dynamic range BT 709, and this is the one that's going to match my exact clip. And right away, even though this said that it was for DaVinci Resolve, it seems like it works. The LUT that I applied here looks pretty good already. And under color setup, normally I would want to play with wide gamut tone map, so I'm able to take advantage of the extra information in the log footage to play around with tweaking the image. However, I did find that enabling this, particularly with OM log footage, it ends up being a little bit glitchy. So in this instance, I'm just gonna keep this as direct 709 as it has been traditionally in Premiere Pro. I'm gonna go to edit. So looking at the waveform here, it looks pretty good already. If you pull down the shadows all the way down, they'll start to clip. So that if you go anything lower than this, that means that all that information will be lost. Same with the highlights. If you go too high up, then you start to clip that information right there as you get closer to the top here. So we'll add a little bit of an S curve just to extract more, make it a little bit more punchy. And I like to crush the blacks just a tiny bit. So that looks pretty good, and white balance looks pretty good to me as well. And it was properly exposed. What we're gonna do next is just check that skin tone, make sure that the color is accurate. So we'll go to Lumetri color, we'll add another one here onto this clip. Go to effect controls, and right here, I'm going to rename this one, and then I'm just gonna say skin tones. So I'm able to, this way, just alter skin tones specifically with this Lumetri effect instead of using the other one. Once we're here, go to opacity and let's draw a mask just around the face, just a tiny mask just so that we can work exclusively on the skin tones. Let's go back to the Lumetri scope. So you can see that this is the line for skin tones, and we're very close to that. So we just need to do a minor tweak, just a minor adjustment to that. So I am working currently on the Lumetri color effect that I have just named skin tones, making sure that it's selected. I like to do this with curves, and just go to hue versus hue, click on the eyedropper tool, click on the face right here, and just ever so slightly move this down, and you can see how that skin tone line just shifted just that tiny bit. So let's toggle this on and off. So just a minor shift, and now you are all set. So we'll go back to effect controls, delete that mask that we created, and this is what we have just changed. Again, very, very minor. And there's not much else to it with this image. Maybe if you wanted to edit it, the exposure a tiny bit, we can go to basic correction, pull down the highlights just a tiny bit more right there. And the next thing we're gonna do is add another Lumetri color effect. Okay, let's try that again, Creative LUT. I normally like to apply a adjustment layer over top the entire sequence so everything gets that LUT, but in this instance I'm going to work specifically on this image, so I'm just gonna apply this as a separate Lumetri color effect. So once we're here, we'll see now that Creative LUT has been added. We'll click on that, and we'll just add one of the default ones. Go under Creative and add one of the default ones from Premiere Pro that Premiere Pro includes. So maybe we'll just do that one. So maybe we'll do the first one, Fuji Eterna 250D. So we can adjust the intensity right here. I think that is a tad too heavy. So let's slide it down just a bit to maybe about there. And we can fade the film a little bit more. So this is going to reduce that contrast, and just fade the film if you want to do that. So I'm just gonna do it just a tiny bit right there. And now going back to the Lumetri scopes, I can see that everything looks good to me so far. This here is a little bit overly saturated, as some of these things go outside of these areas here. So I can go back to the first Lumetri color effect, go to basic correction, and reduce the saturation just a tiny bit, just to get it to some controllable levels. And this way I can still get a little bit of that pop of that color, of that blue, of the red. It's starting to look kind of nice. I can go back to Creative LUT and toggle that strength a little bit more. And yeah, that's pretty good. The last thing that I want to do is add another Lumetri color effect to this clip, because I want to add something that's just gonna draw your eye to the subject a tiny bit more and make this clip even more cinematic. Let's right click on this one and rename it. And this would just be a vignette. So with this effect selected, we'll go into the circle and just create a rough oval shape here so that we can target our subject. Maybe like so, maybe a little bit like that. And what we're going to do now is increase this feather, maybe to about there. And now that we have that selected, go back into basic correction, and we're just going to ever so slightly reduce that exposure. You can see now that this is not what I want to do, but we're going to fix it. So let's go back to the mask and click on invert. So we have inverted that, and that's too much. So we'll just go to about this, and let's reduce the shadows just a tiny bit. Then we can click away from there and see what this looks like. So right away, it looks a lot more cinematic with that vignette. And I like to do the vignette this way as opposed to here in the edit tab of Lumetri color, because of a reason, and here's why. So let's go and disable this Lumetri color vignette for now, and go down here. Maybe I'll just work on this Lumetri color effect. Go down here to vignette, So this is what happens. When you do a vignette here, it works, but not 100% of the time on footage where you want the attention to be on one side of the frame. This is centered, so you can see like so, you can adjust a bunch of different things here, the feathering, the roundness, but it is for clips where you want to focus the attention on the center of the frame. So this does not always work with every clip, and this is why I like to add my own little vignette here. So right away, pretty cool. We can go and copy all of these, select all of these Lumetri color effects, go to another clip and paste them onto that clip. Right now, I pasted these clips and this looks like garbage, right? Because we haven't color managed this clip yet. So let's undo all of that, go back into settings, and now we are going to select input LUT, the OM system LUT, and we have that already enabled. One thing to keep in mind now is that when we're adding conversion LUTs right here in the source clip and as an input LUT, this is not reflected in the source clip like so. There's nothing in the original source clip, and there's no Lumetri effects here. So all of this is happening under the hood if you go and add in a conversion LUT here using this method. So it's a little bit different as to how this used to work before. So next, we're just gonna copy all these Lumetri color effects from that other clip back here, and let's disable all of these first. We will disable skin tones because we don't have any people on the frame, so we can just delete that. So we'll go to Lumetri Scopes and go to Edit and select Lumetri Color, and this is where we adjust the overall exposure, the white balance of the clip if we need to, and stuff like that. There isn't too much that I need to do here with this clip, I guess except for getting rid of some of this saturation here on the yellow, and that is on these wooden posts here. And so let's go to shadow and reduce that a tiny bit. Yeah, maybe like so. So I want to reduce some of the saturation and brightness on these wooden sticks here. So we'll go to curves and go under hue and saturation, click on the eyedropper and click on one of these wooden things, and we'll lower that saturation. This is what happens when I go all the way down. It just targets specifically the wooden post here. Okay, just a bit like that. Now I'm gonna go on to Hue versus Luma, go and click these again. And maybe we'll ease this a little bit more, extend these out, and just drag this down just a tiny bit so that it's not overly too bright right in front of us. We're going to go back now to Effect Controls and enable the Creative LUT. And go back now to Creative LUT here, and we can adjust that strength of that LUT. So I think that might be a little bit too heavy for this clip. So we'll go here, and after we added the Creative LUT, you can see that these became a little bit more saturated again. So we'll go back to Lumetri Color, go to Basic Correction, Curves, Hue and Saturation Curves, and we're going to go here and just lower this just a tiny bit more. Let's go now and enable that vignette. And when you click on this vignette, go to the mask. And what we're going to do now is edit this mask just to be a little bit more oval or more centered. Actually, this is a good example for this. So what I'll do now is delete this mask and this, making sure that vignette is selected. I'll actually go to vignette here because I want the attention to be in the middle. So I'm able to do that right here with this. So we can do the amount to the left, the midpoint maybe about here, the roundness, the feathering, maybe something like that. So yeah, just a tiny vignette and right away it looks a lot better. There is a little bit of a hack to get you close to what you need to be if you want to use Premiere Pro's auto log detect feature. So what I found through some research as well and just playing around with OM footage in Premiere Pro is that you can also, under source clip, you can override that media color space and tell Premiere Pro that what this clip or what color space this clip is in. So I found that with FLog, you're able to get, specifically not FLog, FLog 2, you're able to get a little bit of an approximation to something that you might like or a slightly different look. Now, this is not scientifically accurate because this is for Fuji FLog 2 footage. I do find that this conversion LUT gives me a little bit of a different starting point for a slightly different flavored color grade. So if I do that here with this clip, let's keep all of this here for now. I'm going to delete that LUT and select FLog 2. And this is what I get. Again, you can play around it. FLog 1, it's a little bit too dark. FLog 2. So definitely have to further tweak it. Again, not the scientific color specific or scientific way of doing this, but just a little bit of a hack, if you will. So anyways, that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed this, learned something new, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. And if you're still around, here are a couple more videos you could watch next, and I'll see you there.